Very good morning to all of you. Delighted to see you again. Hope you had a wonderful week. My name is Professor Tissa Wijiratne, neurologist from Melbourne, Australia. Today I am going to talk about some neurological tests. Last week there was a referral came to me asking me to see a 64-year-old lady who had an abnormal MRI scan of the brain. So the MRI scan of the brain, which are basically detailed collection of pictures, several hundred pictures that is, of her brain, which reported as non-specific white matter changes. In simple language, these are fairly non-specific white dots in the brain, as you can see from the television screen. Now, the important thing to know about this condition or the non-specific white matter changes in the brain is that they are, as the word say, they are non-specific. They are certainly not brain tumors. They are certainly not significant inflammatory brain disorders such as multiple sclerosis that we briefly introduced in a previous week. We can talk about them later on. And they are also not related to stroke or dementia either. But most simple people get quite upset when they hear about some changes in the brain MRI scan. So let's explore what these non-specific white matter changes are. So the easiest way to understand this is you have to realize that in 2025 the technological advances in medicine are enormous. The current MRI scanners that we have, they generate pictures of the brain based on the magnetic properties of your own body tissues. MRI technology does not use X-rays to generate pictures like a CAT scan or CT scan or a simple X-ray. So the way that MRI scanner generate pictures is based on the magnetic properties of your body tissues, based on the strength of the magnetic coil that our MR scanners are using. We can mathematically, technologically generate detailed pictures of the body tissue that we are studying. Obviously, different MR scanners have different software programs to study different body tissues, answering different questions. I'll give you an example. If I wanted to look at an acute stroke that occurred during last 10 days, we interrogate brain MRI scan with a different software program. If I suspect a brain tumor, I interrogate the brain MRI scan with a different software program. So coming back to this non-specific white matter changes in brain MRI scan, the current machines that we have in different countries in the world, including Melbourne, Australia and other states and other cities, do have a slightly higher strength coil. Most of them are 3 Tesla or 1.5 Tesla. We use the Tesla. This is not the vehicle that we are talking about. This is the way that we categorize the magnetic coil strength, which is quite high. For research purposes, we could do even 7 Tesla, 12 Tesla, but we don't use them in routine clinical practice. So most 3T MRI scans pick up even very minor abnormalities which are probably unlikely to be of any clinical significance. Now you might wonder, what do you mean by a clinical significance? So when we do a test, if we pick up a change, sometimes it's the sensitivity of the test that is picking this abnormality, which has no clinical relevance to the person in front of you. So with the knowledge that we have in 2025, most of the non-specific white matter changes that we can see in brain MRI scan are of no significant clinical value. In my own practice, if I pick these abnormalities, I probably repeat the brain MRI scan in another year time or 2 years or 3 years sometimes. After a number of years, if there are no significant changes, we stop regular repeating of these tests. However, if you are someone who deemed to have some of these non-specific white matter changes, it is a good idea to improve your brain health habits anyway, which are controlling your blood pressure, controlling your blood sugar, eating healthy, cutting back carbohydrate and high fat diet, not smoking, not drinking too much alcohol, being socially connected, and maintaining a healthy body weight and healthy abdominal circumference, and maintaining your social connections and being the nicest human being that you can be, etc. So, in summary, when you do tests such as MRI scans of the brain, sometimes you might get a report that there are non-specific white matter changes in your brain, and most likely these are of no clinical relevance and they are not going to impact your health in any negative way, to the best of our knowledge that we have in 2025. There are significant white matter changes also. We will talk about them in a future program. Until then, let's continue to love our brain, let's continue to exercise our brain, let's continue to learn about brain health and make our society a very well informed, brain healthy society. Take care and have a wonderful week.